This is SMD Mazurullah, Assistant Professor, AAA Department, IS Engineering College. I am dealing the subject electrical measurements and instrumentation. And in this topic today, we are having AC bridges, Maxwell's inductance bridge, and Hayes bridge. First of all, we will know about the bridges and what are their balancing conditions. And by balancing the bridges, how can we know the unknown quantities? And later on, we proceed to Maxwell's and Hayes bridge to find out the unknown inductance here. So let's move to the topic. General form of AC bridge. What is an general form of an AC bridge means? Generally a AC bridge is similar to a DC bridge in topology. That means an AC bridge or an DC bridge both are having the same connections, or the way of connecting is same for both of them. Now it consists of four arms A, B, BC, CD and DA. We all know that AC bridge nothing but it works on the AC supply, and DC bridge nothing but it works on the DC supply. Now generally there are four arms here A, B, BC, CD and DA. Generally the impedance to be measured is connected between A and B. So we are having this A and B in the figure in the next slide, and this A detector is connected between B and D. So A and B we are having, and also we are having the terminals B and D. Impedances are connected in AB, BC, CD and DA, whereas the detector is connected between A and D. The detector is used as null deflection instrument, and some of the arms are variable elements. So some elements are having variable elements and some variable elements are having non-variable. That means that some arms in the bridges, there are four arms in the bridges, one arm is having suppose it is having a variable element, other arm does not have the variable element likewise. So by varying these elements, the potential values at B and D can be made equal. So what does this mean? B and D, the potential values can be made equal means that is called as the balancing of the bridge. Now we will go into detail of this. This is the general form of the AC bridge, where we are showing the pictorial representation of this. So this is the general form of the AC bridge, where we are having here the detector that is connected between B and D, and also we are having here A, B, BC, CD and DA. All these are the arms and this is the detector. So as we have discussed already that the detector is connected between this B and D. Here E2 and E4 are the potentials of this arm, and E1 and E3 are the potentials of this particular arm A, B and this BC. So this here we are having four arms and four potentials or four voltages we can say here, and this Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4 are the impedances. I1, I2, I3, I4 are the currents flowing through it, and E is the source here. So all these source is being distributed in this particular four arms, and that is E1, E2, E3 and E4. E is distributed to E1, E2, E3 and E4. Now we will see what are these things in the bridge present. So first is source and detector in an AC bridge network are connected in opposite nodes. So we can see here that they are connected in opposite nodes. Source as well as the detector, they are connected in the opposite nodes. This is so because if the source and detector are connected to the same node, all the voltage or current of the source will be displayed at the detector. So in this condition, the bridge will never come to a balanced condition. So the important point is the source as well as the node or the detector should be connected at the different or opposite nodes. Opposite nodes are there, then there will be no problem because this null detector should show the null deflection. If this D detector doesn't show null deflection, then the bridge will not at all balance. So we should take care that the source as well as this particular thing is connected to the different nodes. Detector as well as source are connected to different nodes. So you can see here these are B and D nodes where detector is connected, and here A and C are the nodes where the source is connected. You can see here clearly it is mentioned. Now the second thing is Basically, there are two conditions in order to balance the bridge. The detector current ID should be 0 and the potential difference between the detector node should be 0. Now the question arises, what is a balance or null condition in the AC bridge? So what is a balance or null condition in AC bridge? It is a condition when certain specific applied circuit situation causes the detector current to become 0. So it is a condition. Balance means it is a condition when certain specified applied circuit situation causes detector to current to become 0. Now we will see the types of detectors. The following types of instruments are used as detector in AC bridge. Vibration galvanometer, headphones, that is nothing but speaker also you can use, also tuned amplifier. These are the types of detectors. Now we will talk about the vibration galvanometer. So between the points B and D of the bridge, a vibration galvanometer is connected to indicate the bridge balance condition. This AC galvanometer, which works on the principle of resonance, the AC galvanometer shows a dot if the bridge is unbalanced. So if it is showing a dot in the vibration galvanometer, then the bridge is said to be unbalanced. Then you can see here, other one is headphones. What is a headphone? So it is also detector. Two speakers are connected in parallel in this system. If the bridge is unbalanced, the speaker produces more sound energy. If the bridge is balanced, the speaker does not produce the any sound energy. So it is very minimum sound energy it produces. And next is the tuned amplifier. What is a tuned amplifier? If the bridge is unbalanced, the output of tuned amplifier is high. If the bridge is balanced, the output of the amplifier is 0. Now we will go to the balance conditions. What are these balance conditions? So first thing is E1 is equals to E2 is the first balance condition. That means that the EMF, or the we can say that voltage E1 is equals to E2, then it is the balance condition. Applying Ohm's law to E1 and E2 here, why? Because we can see the picture for reference. Here E1 and E2 are the these things, the AB and AD node. AB and AD arms are there. For AB and AD arms, these E1 and should be equal to E2, then the bridge is said to be balanced. Or CB or BC is equals to CD, then only the bridge is said to be balanced. That means that E1 is equals to E2 or E3 is equal to E4, then only the bridge gets balanced, because the current should be 0 in the BD arm. Coming back here, applying the Ohm's law now, I1 Z1 is equals to I2 Z2. Now at balance condition, substituting the value of I1 and I2, Z1 into Z2 plus Z4 is equal to Z2 into Z1 plus Z3. Because here we are having the different types of this impedances. If you substitute the value of I1 and I2, Z1 into Z2 plus Z4 and Z2 into Z1 plus Z3 gives you the this particular formula, and also we will have Z1 Z4 is equal to Z2 Z3. So we have Z1 Z4 is equal to Z2 Z3 as the balance condition here, as we have seen that this balance condition is achieved by Z1 Z4 is equal to Z2 Z3, and the above equation is the basic equation for a balance of bridge, and this equation is suitable to use while dealing with a bridge consisting of series elements. While using this bridge, we can AC bridge, we can write this basic equation: Z1 Z4 is equal to Z2 Z3 is the basic balance condition of any AC bridge. Now we will see this in the about this Maxwell's inductance bridge now, where the Maxwell's inductance bridge is used to find out the unknown inductance. Different types of AC bridges can be used for the measurement of either inductance or capacitance, and now we can measure the unknown inductance by using the Maxwell's inductance bridge. So you are seeing the figure here, where the figure is having the voltages V1 and V2 here, and this is the voltage V, and this is the AC supply given. There R1, L1, R2 is the one of the resistance, R3 and L3 is one of the resistance, and here L4 and R4 are the resistor and inductor separately. So the current flows from here, and therefore as usual we know that the balancing of the bridge is essential. What we do here is we discuss about the construction of the Maxwell inductance bridge. There are 4 different arms in which first arm of the bridge contains series combination of resistance and inductance, and the third arm consists of series combination of variable resistance and variable inductance. So you can see first arm of bridge contains series combination of resistance and inductance, and the third arm consists of this is third arm, this is first arm. Because here the current flowing is I3 and the current flowing here is I1, we represent this AB as first arm, and this is second arm BC, and CD as third arm, this as the fourth arm. So here the first and third are having the series combination of this particular resistance and variable inductance here. So second and fourth arm consist of only resistances respectively. You can see that only 2 arms are having resistances and remaining arms are having only the resistance and the inductance together in series. So we have already seen that how the general form of AC bridge is there, and now the working of the bridge also is very important, that this coil is connected to the AC supply. When alternating current flows through the coil according to the magnetic effect, it produces magnetic flux lines. Whenever the coil is connected to AC supply, what happens is the alternating current flows through the coil. According to the magnetic effect, it produces magnetic flux. When these magnetic flux lines are cut by coil 1, then according to Faraday's law, electromagnetic induction or EMF is induced in the coil 1. This EMF is called as self-induced EMF, denoted by E1. So mathematically E1 is equals to minus L into dy by dt, where L is called the self-inductance of the coil. Similarly, we are having two inductances where there are 2 different coils which is connected to AC supply, and the coil 2 gets open. When AC supply is given, then according to the magnetic effect, magnetic flux lines are produced, but some of the magnetic lines cut by coil 2 and all the magnetic lines cut by coil 1. Hence, according to Faraday's law, EMF will be induced in both the coils because there are 2 coils present here. The EMF induced in coil 1 is called as self-induced EMF, and the EMF induced in coil 2 is called as the mutually induced EMF. So using Maxwell's inductance bridge, we can measure only self-inductance of the coil. So this is the principle that is applied there for measuring the self-inductance of the coil or self-inductance by using the Maxwell's inductance bridge. So the name is also given from the scientist Maxwell, and we are solving for inductance, so it is called as a Maxwell's inductance bridge. Now coming to this, we are having this figure for the Maxwell's inductance bridge, and in this figure showing that the parameters L1 and R1 are unknown parameters. Here L1 and R1 are the unknown parameters, and by using Maxwell's inductance bridge we have to find out these parameters. So we assume that R1 and L1 are not given values, and from these R3 L3, R2 and R4 L4 we will find out the remaining R1 and L1 values. So how will you do it? By applying the formula for this, that is a balance condition, we can find out this particular thing now. So if you see here, the mathematical balancing of any condition for the AC bridge is Z1 Z4 is equal to Z2 Z3, as we have already seen, and we note it as a equation number 1. Now Z1 is equals to R1 plus j omega L1, as we used to write this R and L combination as R1 plus j omega L1, and this is the impedance, and Z2 is equals to R2, and this is R3, that is Z3 is equals to R3 plus j omega 3 L3 plus R3, and therefore R4 is equal to Z4, that is equals to R4. Now substituting all these values of Z1, Z2, Z3 and Z4 in the equation 1, where what we get is Z1, Z4, if you multiply Z1, Z4 is equal to Z2, Z3, you will get this equation that is written here, and After simplifying the equation, what is the final equation we get here is real part and imaginary parts are separated. So here R1 R4 is equals to R2 into R3 plus R3, where R3 is the internal resistance, small r3 is the internal resistance, and in the given by as the sum of this R3 plus small r3. Imaginary part is L1 R4 is equals to L3 R2 by solving the equation. Now from these two equations of real part and imaginary part, if you have this R1 is equals to R2 by R4, by sending R4 on that side, we get R2 by R4 into R3 plus small r3. So this equation is very important to know that the resistance can be found out for the, that is the branch AB. R1 is equals to R2 by R4 in R3 plus R small r3. If we want to know the R1 value, we can substitute the values of R2 and R4 which are given, and we can find out the value of R3, and also substitute the R3 and small r3 values to get R1. Now L1 also you can find by this equation. L1 is equals to L3 R2 by R4. L3 R2 by R4. By simply substituting these values, you can get the inductance L1. So from these equations, the above two equations are free from frequency, and we cannot see any omega value here, and these values depend only upon the unknown resistance, and inductance does not depend upon the frequency of the supply. So any type of detector can be used, because here the frequency is not a factor, where because if the frequency was a factor depend on for resistance and for inductance, then with the detector would have been a different one, because the three types of detectors were used like tuned amplifier, and also we are using the this headphones as well as the vibration galvanometer. So here as this is not involving any frequency, we can use any type of this, of the three types of this particular detectors. So this is the balancing condition, where you are having here the balancing condition is E1 is equals to E2. So we are having a resultant vector E here. That means that E1 and E2 we are same, having same, and resultant is E here, and therefore I1 omega L1 is equals to I2 omega L2, and I1 R1 is equals to I2 into R2 plus small r2. So these are the lines, that is E3 is equals to E4, and this one is the E1 is equals to E2, and therefore this is the phasor diagram that is drawn for the this particular inductance bridge. Hayes bridge is one more bridge that is used to find out the inductance here. So the Hayes bridge circuit, Hayes bridge is one more bridge that is used here, because this Hayes bridge also used to find out the inductance. It differs from Maxwell bridge by having a resistance R1 in series with the standard capacitor C1 here. So here in the difference between the Hayes bridge as well as the Maxwell's bridge is that here R1 and C1 are there, whereas in Maxwell's bridge there were R1 and L1. So for large phase angles, R1 needs to be low. Therefore, this bridge is more convenient for measuring high Q factor. And for Q factor is equal to 10, the error is plus or minus 1%. And for Q factor is equal to 30, the error is plus or minus 0.1%. Hence, Hayes bridge is preferred for coils with a high Q factor, and therefore the Maxwell's bridge for coils with a low Q factor. So here it is very clearly explained that the Hayes bridge is used for high Q factors, and here the Maxwell's bridge used for low Q factors. The Hayes bridge, here we are having detector placed as well as R2, Rx, Lx is a one arm, R3 is one arm which is a variable resistance here. So we can say that this Hayes bridge is also same like a Maxwell's bridge only, but the components are changing here. Instead of inductance, we are having the capacitance on the first term. So for the balancing this thing, Z1 Zx is equal to Z2 Z3. If you see this figure, you can understand that Rx and Lx are the unknown values. So Rx and Lx are the unknown values here. To find out these Rx and Lx values, we are balancing the conditions. that is Z1 Zx is equal to Z2 Z3, and therefore Z1 is equals to R1 minus J1 omega C1, and also Z2 is equals to R2 and Z3 is equals to R3. Zx is equals to Rx plus J omega Lx. By substituting these values in the equation, that is Z1 Zx is equal to Z2 Z3, we get R minus J by omega C1 into Rx plus J omega Lx is equals to R2 R3. Now after taking these equations and multiplying them, here what we get is R1 Rx plus Lx by C1 minus J Rx by omega C1 plus J omega Lx R1 is equals to R2 R3. This is one of the balanced equation where we can say that R1 Rx plus Lx by C1 minus J Rx by omega C1 plus J omega Lx R1 is equals to R2 and R3. Now equating the real and imaginary terms, what we have here is R1 Rx plus Lx by C1 is equals to R2 R3 and Rx by omega C1 is equals to omega Lx R1. So it is omega Lx R1 is equals to omega Lx R1 is equals to Rx by omega C1. This one, this complex part Rx by omega C1 is shown there. Now these are the equations given, and these equations are solved by Lx and Rx. For Lx and Rx here, we have Rx is equals to omega square, by substituting this side, omega square Lx C1 R1 will be the value of Rx. Now substituting this value of Rx in the above equation, here, this equation has Rx, so we are substituting the value of Rx here, and we can get the Lx value by substituting and rearranging these things. And finally what we get is R1 into omega square R1 C1 Lx plus Lx by C1 is equals to R2 R3, and therefore omega square R1 square C1 Lx plus Lx by C1 is equals to R2 R3. These things now rearranging, we get the final equation as Lx is equals to R2 into R3 C1 by 1 plus omega square R1 square C1 square, and here Rx is equals to omega square C1 square R1 R2 R3 by 1 plus omega square R1 square C1 square here. So these are the values of unknown inductances and capacitances. So we are getting these equations here, and now the term omega appears in the expression for both Lx and Rx. This indicates that the bridge is frequency sensitive here. That means any of the things, if you are having omega in that for inductance and capacitance values, then we say that this is a frequency sensitive when omega is involved in the bridge balancing condition. The Hayes bridge circuit is also used in the measurement of incremental inductances. Incremental inductances also we use this particular Hayes bridge. The inductance balance equation depends on the losses of inductor and also on the operating frequency. So in the Hayes bridge, the inductance balance equation depends on the losses of inductor as well as the operating frequency. It is clearly explained here in the Hayes bridge. An inconvenient feature of this bridge is that the equation giving the balance condition for inductance contains the multiplier, that is 1 by 1 plus 1 by q square. So if you see here, this is the multiplier which is having the very difficulty here to this inconvenient feature for the bridge balancing. Now the inductance balance thus depends on its q value and the frequency, because q is given here and the Lx value depends upon the q value. So here Lx value depends upon the q value. For a value of q greater than 10, the terms 1 by q square will be smaller than 1 by 100 and can be therefore neglected here. Therefore Lx is equals to R2 R3 C1 is the standard form of forming the inductance, which is same as the Maxwell's equation. And for both inductors with q is less than 10, the 1 by q square term cannot be neglected. Hence this bridge is not suited for measurements of coils having q or quality factor less than 10. A commercial bridge measuring 1 microhenry to 100 henry 2% error is can be calculated here. So Hayes bridge is used for measuring of the coils having the quality factor or Q value less than 10 here, and the commercial bridge measure from 1 microhenry to 100 Henry with plus or minus 2% error. So in this class, students, we have studied about the AC bridges, and also we have known the balance conditions and how to balance the conditions for the bridge unknown values to find. So we can find out the unknown values very easily once we know how to balance the bridges by equating their potentials and equating their impedances. The product of impedances Z1, Z3 is equal to Z2, Z4 is the very important thing to be learned, because all the bridges can be solved in this particular direction only. So we will study about the other types of bridges in the next class. So till then, I will like to conclude here and start in the next class. Thank you.